Pulse Network. It's social TV.
Welcome back into the Pulse Network. I'm Maggie Bruley here on CIO Insight, filling in for Ashley Daly. I am joined today in studio by Eric Lundquist of Ziff Davis Enterprise. Eric, it's so great to have you in studio.
It's more than filling in. This is a whole
I like
new
to think of myself as part of
the
the CIO Insight family.
You're part
right?
of the family.
Am
you know
I?
that.
Okay, I'm holding you to that,
This is
Eric.
like Bonanza. We're all sitting around the dining room table together.
Well, hey, speaking of bonanza around the dining room table, we got some news of the week for CIOs to get through, and there's some pretty big news stories that are happening this week.
It's a wild week. There's just a lot going on, both in government. I guess they have time because they can't figure out what to do about the budget, so they have other stuff to do, and then just a lot of other news. Yeah, very, very busy week.
Well, we'll start off with our first head story for News of the Week for CIOs. It's taking a look at cybersecurity. Now, the U.S. cybersecurity czar has resigned quite unexpectedly, although if you look at the track record recently with all of the hacks, I'm not sure how unexpected this really is. What's the story here, Eric?
Well, that was Randy Vickers. It really, Maggie, it's sort of a thankless job. No one, you really get your name out there every time something bad happens, but
no one says, oh great, I didn't get hacked.
Right, the
Thanks,
days
Randy.
you didn't get hacked, it's fine. So it's a very high pressure job, a very difficult job. You're trying to really juggle lots of different bureaucracies and government organizations, and you've got, you're living in this sort of world of experts where everyone's going to give you advice in terms of, how to live your life or how to stop hacking. Meanwhile, Maggie, there's just been a lot of hacks.
Yeah.
There's just no way around it. Anonymous and these folks really seem to be not quite picking and choosing their targets, but they really have hit a lot of really high-profile sites. So, Randy, thanks for doing the job.
Do you think he's at fault at all, or is this almost inevitable in our day and age?
I don't know. It's really hard to say who's at fault in something like this. I think, part of it is you really, if you're going to do this, you've got to get all the government organizations reporting to you. And my impression was always that he was sort of a scholarly figure. He really didn't have a lot of power. He couldn't say, Maggie, you're running the Navy thing, but you got to come over and just do what we do, and this is the standard we're going to push through. A lot of those standards, a lot of that activities resides within the Congress in their ability to make laws and regulations. And, Maggie, Congress and the White House just aren't getting along all that well these days. So, no, I don't think it was at fault, but I think, at some point you say, well, enough's enough. I'm going to guess he was getting a lot of great offers from other companies, from private companies. You see a lot of these people go out, they go work at a Google or a Microsoft, and they make a lot of money, and they're out of that spotlight. So he probably did enough time on the stage.
So he's moving on somewhere, maybe make a little bit more money and not quite such scrutiny.
Some people do that,
Yeah.
Maggie. You and I will never do that, we just do this because we love it, but
Exactly.
Some people do that.
Oh, hey, as we always talk about here on News of the Week, often it's about new technologies, whether it be the cloud or even email. But now that was going a blast from the past, we're talking about snail mail here, Eric. And when we talk about snail mail, it's sort of the end of an era. Not only are they closing just under 4,000 post offices, 3,700 post offices are slated to close. I've heard rumors that they're actually cutting down the amount of days that people are going to be able to send mail.
Yeah, it wouldn't bother me to get
It wouldn't bother you?
Hey, once a week, twice a week would be fine.
Yeah.
Post office, they're really outsourcing. They're closing a lot of these small post offices that haven't had much activity. And like the UPS stores and the 7-Elevens, they become sort of like mini post offices where people can go in and do their mail. So that's changing. The post office was, they really made some attempts to get into the digital world, digital delivery. They were going to provide internet access. Just never got there. Too many laws, too many regulations against them. But, just as we've seen Borders close, the big bookstores close, I think this was sort of inevitable. I look in my mailbox. I don't even get that many bills. That's all pretty much electronic. I get a lot of, spam mail. So the number of pieces of mail that I say, wow, I really want, this was great. I don't know, Maggie. 2 or 3 times a week would do me fine.
I think maybe the real highlight with the story here is that what you said, who cares? Yeah, they're going down to a few days a week and they might even be closing the one in my own hometown, but it's not actually going to affect me that much because you get your bills now on the internet. You receive hellos from friends via email or on Facebook, so it's not as big of a deal as it used to be.
Yeah, it's tough for the Postal Workers Union. I don't know where, it's not a great job economy. Where does an ex-postal worker go? But I don't know. That's just part of the world we live in. It's becoming more efficient. They've been losing a lot of money. That was my understanding, and never quite able to sort of get into the whole digital mail, digital ability to transmit, I don't know, authorized mail or something like that. Just didn't happen on that side. So I feel bad for them, but I don't know. You can make them, I don't know, frozen yogurt stands or something like that. I think that's the future.
I like that innovation.
Yeah,
that's good.
There you go.
Well, you're going to have to keep the innovation coming because not only are they closing down some post offices in the United States, but unfortunately RIM is laying off employees as well. Now, the latest numbers for RIM layoffs come in about 2,000 jobs that were cut, as well as some reshuffling up at the executive deck. Now, what are your thoughts about this? Not only from the level of the fact that they're losing jobs at RIM, but also for BlackBerry. BlackBerry sort of needs to ramp it up a bit with Android and the iPhone platforms. But what kind of innovation do they need, especially now that they're cutting jobs?
So Maggie, do you get up every day and say, I really want to get a nice BlackBerry? That's what I'd like to use.
Yeah, you never hear that anymore.
No. Are you an iPhone person?
Oh, through and through. And I just heard a new stat today that 1 in 3 people already want the new iPhone 5, even though it's not out yet.
It's not even out. And just the rumor of a new iPhone is a great traffic driver on a website, even if you're just hearing about it. So, the last bastion for BlackBerry was really the business world. That's what business execs carried around. They had BlackBerries. It was a very good, secure email system. That's pretty easy to replace right now because you can have IT guys just push your email out to your iPhone, to a lesser degree your Android. iPhone, what can you say, Maggie? It's just taken over the world.
Yeah.
And no matter how many cool features BlackBerry tries to add on, it's not like an automatic button you push and say, hey, we do things like the iPhone, so now you don't need an iPhone. People go, well, why don't I just get an iPhone? And that's a big issue for them. And that's, it's a learning experience. I do think they could still have a role in the business world, but they need to do what they're doing, get smaller and really focus on what they're going to be.
Well, mobile market is so competitive right now. We just mentioned some of the top competitors and the key players, but another market that is quite competitive is video on demand, streaming video. We're seeing more and more people trying to get to the game. Netflix, obviously a huge name in that industry. Also Amazon, a huge name. And now Walmart, the mega retailer coming to streaming video. Walmart's not necessarily what I think of when I think of a big technology behemoth, but what's their role here?
I think of a big store.
Yeah, exactly.
They sort of wander around
Maybe a big bag of potato chips.
You're right. Every time you want to get the 90-ounce bag of potato chips to put in your cart, you can get it. They see things like the post office and they go, yeah, we need to get into this game. Interesting right now, Netflix is trying to push everyone to just streaming only. They divided up their business between streaming or getting the discs back and forth in the mail. They're trying to push everyone that side. I don't know. Maybe Walmart can do it, but I don't know. Is it a little bit like RIM? You just have so many other choices right now. What's going to be the compelling story from Walmart? It's not going to be price. You get all you want from a Netflix. Are they going to have access to, I don't know, better movies or, HBO's not on Netflix? It would take something like that, I think, to really get Walmart into this game. And, Maggie, the only thing Walmart has is a big pile of money.
I guess they can test this out for a little while, see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great for them to be trying it. I'm interested to see just what they can actually do with it at some point. And do you start to, meld your Walmart experience, which just still doesn't strike me as a real high-end experience. I'm sorry, man. I'm a Bostonian. It doesn't work all the time for me at that level, but good luck to them.
Well, hey, as we're continuing with news of the week for CIOs, it appears that we can't go more than one bullet point down our list before we get back to Apple. Apple is everywhere. We were just talking about the high demand for Apple when its competitor is RIM, who's laying off people. Apple can't make enough product. They are so in demand, particularly in China. And these are some crazy news reports coming out of China because if you start reading it and it talks about the Apple stores in China that are huge, these massive stores with huge amounts of revenue, and then there's fake Apple stores in China. What I love about this is that even the employees thought that they were working for Apple. That's how amazing this counterfeit job was.
It really
it's incredible.
is. It really is.
You just shake your head at this.
And I don't think it could happen in the United States. I don't think someone could open up a fake Apple store without someone saying, wait a second, this is fake. I guess you can do it in China. It's a tremendously embarrassing, but it's also a sort of a recognition of just how powerful Apple is. And for CIOs looking at Apple, I'd really say you've got to make an adjustment that is going to be the systems coming into your company carried by the Gen Xers as well as everyone else. It's going to be tablets, it's going to be iPhones. You've got to make plans for how these systems are going to work within your company. The growth of Apple, especially in the tablet business and the iPhone business, is just not going to stop. Actually growing very rapidly in all pieces. So it's a very interesting time at that level. And the Apple stores, I think, are a great experience. And you're seeing Microsoft trying to open stores to compete. Very difficult to do because Apple owns the whole thing. You can go in and buy the MacBook Air and the software and get it all worked on there. You go to the Microsoft store, you buy the software, and then you buy a Hewlett-Packard or a Toshiba. If something goes wrong, where do you go? And that's an issue for Microsoft.
Well, as Apple is sort of forging the way for themselves in China, becoming this powerhouse, many people are saying they're doing what other major companies like Google haven't really been able to do in China. But it's more than just China. Taking a look at Asia as a whole now, our next bullet point here for News of the Week for CIOs takes a look at how Asia is interacting with the United States. And many now analysts are saying that Asians are feeling excluded from U.S. power centers, according to this new study posted over in Reuters. Now, what's the implications of this for American technology going forward?
Well, American technology companies are nervous about their patents and their exclusive capabilities moving over to China. China's feeling they're not getting access to those types of products, and it really does create two worlds. And the Chinese market for technology, for U.S.-based technology products, is not expanding at the rate people thought it would at one point. The Chinese really want to build their own to the point of building fake Apple stores, I guess. But there's still just a lot of hesitancy in terms of what technologies you're willing to let your Chinese partners have, and back and forth. So the two areas seem to be growing on their own in some ways rather than the sort of combined partnership.
Well, before we wrap up News of the Week, let's get back to Apple one more
time.
Well, just one more time. It's our
right.
last one. But this statistic blew me out of the water. I was so shocked by this because it's taking a look and comparing Apple apps to McDonald's burgers, which is just an unbelievable comparison anyway. But it's making the statement that Apple apps sell 9 times faster than McDonald's burgers.
And more satisfying too, I think.
Yeah, that's actually true. It'll last longer.
Yeah.
Don't pack on the pounds quite as much.
I think it just, it's just an example of Apple created this app store idea, app store model. There were many people who said, oh, this will never work. People always are going to want to go in and buy a package and install it. They aren't going to be able to rely totally on this app store model. Well, that's absolutely wrong. That's how people are buying apps right now. For what? 99 cents, $1. You can try out the app. It's been, somewhat okayed. And for CIOs, I think this is going to be very important because they're going to have to decide what apps their company runs on. People are going to come in having downloaded apps and say, hey, why can't we do this thing right here? CIOs are going to have to decide what apps they're going to make available to their workers within that company. But yeah, more apps than burgers, Maggie. That's That's something.
That could be the new tagline for CIO Insight,
Really?
right? More apps than burgers.
Put down that burger, get an app.
Well, Eric, thank you so much. Help me go through news of the week for CIOs. We do have plenty more CIO Insight coming up. Up next, I'm super pumped to be joined by Steve House of Blue Coat Systems, letting us know how Blue Coat System interacts with Chinese CIOs. That's up next right here on CIO Insight.
The Pulse Network. It's social TV.